Greetings, wherever you are watching Luntha television. It's time for our last news bulletin for the year 2022. You are with me, Brenna Dimanza. Our top stories. Vatican reports that Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI has rested well, as his condition is stationary. Governance expert raise fears of disruption of government operations amid impending strike by civil servants. U.S. Department of State impressed with Malawi's effort in prosecuting cases of trafficking in persons. And in other news, Botswana issues an arrest warrant for former President Ian Khama over possession of illegal firearms. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Vatican has said that Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI had rested well and that his condition was stationary. In a statement published today, the Holy See Press Office said last night the Pope Emeritus was able to rest well and that he also participated in the celebration of Holy Mass in his room yesterday afternoon. On Thursday, Pope Francis renewed his invitation to pray for Benedict and accompany him in these difficult hours. We have more in this Rome report.
Pope Francis's words on the health of his predecessor set off alarms about the condition of the Pope Emeritus. Vatican sources point out that already at the beginning of December, coinciding with the Ratzinger Prize, the Pope Emeritus's doctors had detected a weakening of his chest muscles, consequently causing him difficulties in breathing and speaking. The prize winners who went to visit him said that it was difficult to hear his faint voice. But despite his physical weakness, his mind was still very clear. The Pope Emeritus has been in poor health for many years. When he was prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, he presented his resignation to Pope John Paul II, citing health problems. In 2003, then Cardinal Ratzinger had a pacemaker inserted. It was 2 years before he was elected to the papacy. In 2014, Vatican spokesperson Father Federico Lombardi confirmed that the Pope had undergone a routine operation to replace the pacemaker.
One of the country's governance experts, Michael Kayatsa, has allayed fears that government operations will be disrupted from January 9th due to an impending strike by civil servants. This comes following a letter by the Civil Servants Trade Union addressed to the chairperson of government negotiating team that civil servants are planning to hold nationwide strike on 9th January following failure by government to increase salaries for civil servants despite a series of engagements over the matter, which followed concern of economic hardships facing the nation. Noting that the concerns raised are valid, Kayatsa has advised government to put into consideration the demands made. Tandio Mzmara has the details.
According to the letter that has been jointly signed by Secretary General for CSTU Madalitso Njolomole and Teachers Union of Malawi TUM General Secretary Charles Kumchenga, government has failed to address their concerns as, among other things, they want their salaries increased to tally with the prevailing economic woes. In an interview with Luntha TV, Njolomole disclosed that they presented their concerns to government negotiating team JNT during their meeting held on December 16, 2022 at Kumbali Lodge in Lilongwe, and they have given several ultimatums but to no avail. Njolomole said as they wait for their 7-day ultimatum, which ends on 8th January 2023, they hope that their concerns will be addressed, otherwise they will proceed with the nationwide industrial strike.
Our letter we have also indicated is that if government comes with a proper direction or a positive response to the civil servants, then we believe in the contact and dialogue as a trade unions.
Commenting on this, one of the country's governance experts, Michael Kayatsa, has arrayed fears that government operations will be disrupted from January 9th due to the impending strike, hence advising government to swiftly act on these concerns.
We should brace for tough times ahead But we also need to reflect critically because the demands that the union is making are actually, valid demands. The cost of living now is way beyond the income of most Malawians. So I think that needs to be taken into account, and that's why it's important that the government should quickly come in and address the concerns that these unions are expressing.
Meanwhile, local media has reported that Labour Minister Vela Kamtukore has confirmed that she has seen the letter but has refused to comment, saying the GNT is best placed to speak on the matter.
The United States Department of State's 2022 Trafficking in Persons report for Malawi has shown that despite government failing to fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, the country is making significant efforts in the fight against trafficking in persons. According to the report, government has demonstrated overall increasing efforts compared to the previous reporting period concerning the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on its anti-trafficking capacity. Alina Fepiri has more in this report.
Among others, these efforts include investigating and prosecuting trafficking cases, including investigations of allegedly complicit officials, increasing collaboration with non-government organizations and NGOs to identify potential victims, and increasing awareness efforts and screening for trafficking in refugee camps. The U.S. Department of State's 2022 Trafficking in Persons report has indicated that the government did not meet the minimum standards in several key areas, where government reported that efforts to provide protection services to trafficking victims remained minimal and inaccessible to some communities, particularly in the northern region, and due to lack of shelters and other protections. Police often detained victims during the investigation process and did not take adequate measures to prevent the re-traumatization of victims participating in criminal proceedings. However, Malawi has improved on investigations and prosecutions, as the report has shown that the Malawi Police Service increased reporting capacity from 5 district-level police stations during the previous reporting period to 10 out of Malawi's 44 district-level police stations in 2021. The government reported investigating 82 trafficking cases and 82 suspects in 2021, compared with investigating 44 cases and arresting 54 suspects in 2020, as well as prosecuting 27 cases involving an unknown number of suspects and convicting 7 traffickers, compared with prosecuting 33 cases involving 39 suspects and convicting 29 traffickers in 2020. The challenges are, however, emanating from a lack of enough funding towards the fight against trafficking. Concurring with this report, National Coordinator of the Malawi Network Against Trafficking, MNAT, also the Executive Director of Global Hope Mobilization, GLOHOMO, Caleb Tole, said government is struggling to save Malawians trapped in Oman due to lack of funding, but has asked government to put at least 500 million kwacha into the fight against trafficking, for the current 150 million kwacha is not effectively helping the operations of this fight.
The major challenge for government to lead in the campaign against trafficking currently is lack of financial resources from their part, their commitment. As we are speaking right now, we have girls who are trapped in Oman, and the government currently did not have resources to repatriate them back to Malawi. So we believe if law enforcement, the gazetted officers, and all the police and the law enforcement are given necessary support, they might do better, exceeding what they have done this year.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of State has said government should disperse enough funds to the Anti-Trafficking Fund to provide care to victims and to expand training for law enforcement and protection officers on investigating trafficking crimes, identifying trafficking victims, and providing adequate protection services. Reporting for Luntha News, this is Alina Fepiri.
Now, in Balaka, the District Relief and Rehabilitation Office has called on people in the disaster-prone areas to heed to the awareness messages that are sent to them time after time on how to prevent disasters. The Relief and Rehabilitation Officer for the district, Blessings Kamtima, while saying the district is ready to respond to various disasters, said compliance is the best measure to be safe. Kamtima said over 500 households have already been affected by heavy storms that hit the district a few weeks ago, and they are still waiting for support from the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA. From Balaga, Rashida Matandika reports.
If it is not flooding, then drought, dry spell or pest infestation hits Balaka district, but the district is never short of disasters every year. As the rains are here, the Relief and Rehabilitation Officer for the district, Blessings Kantema, said they are ready to respond to anything that falls, and they have already developed a contingency plan that will guide them on how they can prepare or respond to disasters. Kantema said they are also on the ground with awareness messages, and from next week they will be giving warnings through mobile vans on what the meteorological services is advising people to do. Kantema said much as the whole district is affected by disasters, there are hotspots that are given much attention, but they would appreciate if people can heed warnings to prevent different sufferings that comes when people have been affected.
Our main message is that we are expecting action after getting the information. What we have noted is that the communities could hear the air warning, they could grasp the information, but what is lacking is to take action after the information has been issued. So our main message is that let's please take action when we have received the warning. And our colleagues from the meteorological department are continuing to issue these warnings through the TVs and the radios. So let's get the information, but the key thing is let's take action after every warning. That's the key message.
So far, the district also has an evacuation center where people will be ferried to if things get out of hand, and Kantema says all the necessary requirements for such activities have been arranged in advance. However, he said that the district already has over 500 families that were affected by heavy storms, and they are still waiting for support from the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, but he was also quick to say none of the affected families were displaced. For Luntha TV in Balaka, this is Rashida Matantika reporting.
Remember that you are watching our last 7:30 news bulletin for the year 2022 here on Luntha Television. Before we proceed, let's take a look at our main stories once more. Vatican reports that Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI has rested well as his condition is stationary. Governance expert raise fears of disruption of government operations amid impending strike by civil servants. U.S. Department of State impressed with Malawi's effort in prosecuting cases of trafficking in persons. And in other news, Botswana issues an arrest warrant for former President Ian Khama over possession of illegal firearms. Welcome back, and you are with me, Bernard Manza. Minister of Health is insisting that it is on the right track in as far as cholera containment measures are concerned, and that there is no need for new measures. The remarks by spokesperson in the ministry, Adrian Chibumbe, come amid allegations by the Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives (CEDED) that government is not well equipped to contain the spreading of cholera in the country. According to Chibumbe, government remains committed to end the current cholera outbreak and that they have the capacity to manage cholera cases in the facilities. Tandu Mzumara has more in this report.
In a letter, SIDAD Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa claims that cholera patients in some parts of the country are being asked to pay money in order to be treated. Namiwa also claims SIDAD has actually found out that for this month, government has only bought 200 out of the required 1.2 million doses of IV fluids, especially Ringer's lactate, used to treat cholera. He has since proposed a multi-sectoral approach in the fight against the outbreak of the waterborne disease.
We still insist that the President Luntha should set up a special fund for the cholera outbreak. At the same time, we need an emergency high-level stakeholders meeting where another strategy should be developed because the strategy we're using, it has failed.
In response to these claims, the ministry, through its spokesperson Adrian Chukumbe, says government has the capacity to manage cholera cases in its facilities, but as much as it remains committed to end the current cholera outbreak, the problem is that people are not taking the prevention measures seriously, hence the continued surge.
So there are a lot of consultations, resource mobilization that is happening behind scenes that people don't see. In fact, if it wasn't for the interventions that have been put in place, because cholera is one of the highly infectious conditions, for every one case, you are supposed to have maybe 20 others that you don't know about. So each case times 20, we should have been having much more cases than now. So when we are still we're still registering these cases, sometimes it's not that ministry or stakeholders are not doing enough. Perhaps let us also look at the user public. What is the public doing or not doing? You will find this poor compliance to the preventive measures, as well as a result, the disease keeps spreading.
Meanwhile, the country on Thursday recorded 25 deaths of cholera, which is the highest number of deaths within a day since the outbreak began this year. A statement by Minister of Health Komize Kandodo Chibunda indicates that by Thursday, 29th December 2022, the cumulative confirmed cases and deaths reported since the onset of the outbreak was at 16,597 and 530 respectively. For Luntha News in Longwe, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
Meanwhile, in Balaka district, the district hospital is immediately in need of 600 liters of fuel to use in community awareness as the cholera cases are escalating at a high speed. Speaking to the media today, the Chief Preventive Officer for Balaka District Hospital, Blessing Chitsime, said the hospital is running out of resources, including medication for the disease. The district has 26 active cases in its isolation ward on treatment. From Balaka, Rashida Matandika reports.
In Balaka district, the first cholera cases were exported from nearby districts, according to the Chief Preventive Officer for Balaka District Hospital, Blessing Chitsime. Chitsime said the first case was registered in March and it was of a man who came from Luntha, while the second and third cases were of patients who came from Neno district. Currently, the district has registered 246 cases since March and 26 are on treatment at the hospital. The greatest challenge that the hospital is facing is resources, whereby fuel is in short but urgently needed for awareness, as all traditional authorities have been affected.
So far, we need the fuel amounting to, for a start, amounting to about 600 liters right now. But this is an ongoing activity. And we cannot be realistic or come up with the exact volume of fuel, because we have to sustain all the intervention we're implementing in the district for a period till the outbreak is over, not only in Balaka, but even from those neighboring districts.
The civil society organizations have already started responding to the call by the hospital to support them, and so far Save the Children has donated chlorine to the hospital, which the Chief Preventive Officer says will be distributed to all communities. In his remarks, Chairperson of Health a Thematic Group under the Civil Society Organizations Network, Darlington Tolle, said they will continue with mobilization among themselves to bring more support to the facility.
Yeah, that call has been passed to all the CSOs that they need to respond to fuels. Since this fuel is very important in terms of sensitization to the community and also delivering of materials to the health facilities and all the communities. So it's very important that all the CSOs should take this call as priority. Fuel is much needed. Also supplies like clothing, PPEs, they are muchly needed right now in health facilities.
As all the measures are being followed, it is not known if readily prepared food and fruit vendors such as mango vendors will bow down to the call to save people from the disease amidst economic challenges, but for now business is as normal in Balaka Township. For Luntha TV in Balaka, this is Rashida Matandika reporting.
Now, in business news, the Reserve Bank of Malawi, RBM, has approved Centenary Rural Development Group Limited of Uganda and the Catholic Archdiocese of Lilongwe to acquire MyBucks Banking Corporation Malawi Limited. In a statement jointly signed by MyBucks Malawi Board Chairperson Francis Pedegamoyo, Centenary Group Chairperson Professor John Dumba Sentam, and Archbishop of Lilongwe Archdiocese, the Most Reverend George Desmond Tambala, the Registrar of Financial Services, Dr. Wilson Banda, said the approval was granted on December 23, 2022. With the Registrar's approval, the Centenary Bank and Lilongwe Archdiocese owns 51% and 49% of shares respectively, but the two partners await approval of completion of transactions from COMESA Competition Commission. At the end of 2021, Centenary Bank's assets were worth 1.4 billion US dollars, which is about 1.1 trillion Malawi kwacha, while Lilongwe Archdiocese of the Catholic Church owns several assets, including health and education institutions, worth over 30 billion Malawi kwacha. Now, in entertainment news, musician Dr. Joram Nyirongo, who is also a medical doctor by profession, has launched a 3-year strategic plan to guide his musical activities in the industry from 2023 to 2026. According to Dr. Joram, as known in music circles, he aims at taking his music to international heights, hence devising an effective strategy to help him realize his goals. Having released 2 albums, The Serious Decisions and 1987, Dr. Joram has advised fellow musicians to take time to work on their songs in order to come up with good products. He speaks to our reporter, Agnafe Piri.
So the biggest motivation for me is the awareness that success is never accidental. You ought to plan for it. So even nations will have plans for the next 10 years or 50 years because that gives you a bit of a guidance and the path where you're going. So the reason we're doing this is to map a path which we will follow on our way forward. So one of the key things that we're doing is to expand our epicenter. So this is Malawi. We're expanding our reach beyond our borders. So that's one key thing that we want to do. Malawian music should not just end in Malawi. We ought to stretch our boundaries.
And finally, in international news, a court in Botswana has issued an arrest warrant for former President Ian Khama for the possession of illegal firearms. The judge issued orders that Khama should be arrested on site. The 69-year-old left the country last year and has been residing in neighboring South Africa. Khama, who left office in 2018 after 2 5-year terms, has denied the charges and says they are part of a political conspiracy after he fell out with his successor, President Mokgweetsi Masisi. He is facing 14 charges, including allegations of money laundering and handling stolen property. Well, with that story from Botswana, we have come to the very end of our last 7:30 news bulletin for the year 2022 here on Luntha Television. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. Vatican reports that Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI has rested well as his condition is stationary. Governance expert raised fears of disruption of government operations amid impending strike by civil servants. U.S. Department of State's impressed with Malawi's effort in prosecuting cases of trafficking in persons. And in other news, Botswana issues an arrest warrant for former President Ian Khama over possession of illegal firearms. That's all we had for you, and on behalf of the entire newsroom and of course on behalf of the entire management and staff of Luntha Television, I'm wishing you a happy New Year 2023 in advance. Thanks for watching, and this has been Brennan Mwanza. Goodbye for now.
Holy Family College of Nursing and Midwifery in Palombe wishes to invite applications from suitably qualified candidates for admission into the Diploma in Nursing and Midwifery Technician program in the 2023 academic year. Applicants must be between 16 and 45 years of age, must have Malawi School Certificate of Education MSCE or its equivalent with 4 credit passes including English, Biology, Chemistry or Physics or Physical Science, or one of the following: Agriculture, Geography, Home Economics and Mathematics. Fees is 750,000 kwacha per semester for residential candidates and 450,000 kwacha per semester for non-residential candidates, payable in 3 installments. Candidates meeting the entry requirements should deposit a non-refundable processing fee of 12,000 kwacha into the following bank accounts. The application package should contain application letter, deposit slip for the processing fee, copy of MSCE certificate or notification of results, and functioning phone numbers. The package must be sent to the College Registrar, Holy Family College of Nursing and Midwifery, PO Box 51224, Limbe, or via email principal@holynursing.com, and must be sent not later than Friday, the 20th of January 2023. For inquiries, call on 0885 718 358. Holy Family College of Nursing and Midwifery. Knowledge is power.